Hello everyone and welcome back to round 17 of season 2 of the F1 24 My Team career mode. Yes, we return this weekend here to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku. Of course, if you missed out on the last video that went live last week, I apologise that videos have been so thin on the ground in recent times in this series. I've been very busy with lots of other things, but I'm hoping between now and the end of the year we're going to get back into the swing of things once again. Obviously, we had the first round of co-op season 2 with Gary go live yesterday. Now we're back with this series, and I've got the next round of the Williams Road to Glory that will be going live over the weekend as well there. So yeah, this channel, hopefully, we're going to try and kick things back off, and we want to try and hit 5k subs before the end of the year. So if you aren't already, please do make sure you hit that sub button as well there. But yeah, we had a really good race last time out at Monza. A really good recovery drive from the rear of the field to end up, I believe, with a P6 finish. So we're currently still 10th place overall in the Drivers' Championship, with 27 back from Piastri, 27 clear of Lance Stroll there. Ferrari still lead the way, courtesy of Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. There are a 39-point buffer between Charlie Boy and Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' World Championship, but Sainz and Russell, as well as Lando Norris, seem to be getting quicker and quicker as the season goes on. We're still 6th as well in the Constructors. That's looking pretty much locked in at this stage of the campaign, but Baku has sometimes been a pretty good track for me as well in years gone by. Hopefully that's going to continue this weekend. Can we do any more upgrades to the car before we head out to the circuit? I'm not convinced we can. So yeah, I think we're just going to head that out then here in Baku, and hopefully we can try and get more points on the board.
It is a truly unique layout. Welcome to Baku and welcome to qualifying.
Well, we have actually got to get on with it and try and get our laps on the board fairly early this weekend, because rain is predicted about 10 minutes into this qualifying session. I also want to keep my eye on our teammate Sergio Perez here. This should hopefully be quite a happy hunting ground as well for him, because of course, yeah, even in 2024, we saw him more competitive than Max Verstappen around this Baku circuit, and well, the first time he's really fought for a podium since early on in the season as well there. So what are we going to be able to do today? Are we going to be able to try and get the car a little bit higher up the order than what we managed to do in Monza? Of course, we started that one from the back of the field, but it didn't stop us carving our way through the order as the afternoon goes on. Only time will tell here. You can see just how ominous the sky above looks, so trying to get laps nailed is critical. But as first laps go, this one hasn't been perfect, but it hasn't also left too much time on the table as well. Just trying to save up most of our battery for the run back round to the start-finish line there, as we'll get the car up into 8th gear and immediately then try and use the rest of the charge. This front straight obviously dominates the Azerbaijan circuit, but we learnt last weekend this car can be very good in the straight line as well. 290 miles an hour, and we still end up in last. As we get round then to start our final run here in qualifying, rain could start falling at any moment, but we are down in last place then once again on the grid. So I'm hoping that we're going to have time to try and get our final run on the board. I've tried to be more strategic with our battery management as well.
Far away from rain now. I'll keep you updated as conditions change.
I'm really hoping we can just try and get this time on the board. I do not want to end up at the back of the grid 2 weekends in a row. They are two fairly similar circuits, I guess. And oh no, the rain has started. So unless we can try and channel our inner Charles Leclerc from, I think it was Brazil, wasn't it, back in 2018? I think, yeah, there's just no grip. It's all over. We are last again on the grid. Boy, oh boy, that is a disappointment. Well, there we go. Charles Leclerc, World Championship leader, will line up at the front of the field there. His main rival, Lewis Hamilton, all the way down in P7. But Alonso will line up alongside him, ahead of Verstappen and Lance Stroll. So Aston Martin looking pretty racy here. Shout-outs to Perez, getting himself in a Mercedes sandwich further up the order. I mean, that's a really good effort by the Mexican. And let's not forget, that's the second time in 3 Grand Prix that we've seen him up inside the top 10 as well there. Oscar Piastri, I'm sure, will be very disappointed to line up all the way down in 15th place. We were 2/10 off Teo Pourchaire at the back of the field. So once again, we've got a last question mark challenge.
A warm welcome to you from Azadlik Square, heart of Baku, and home, of course, of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners, and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today. So our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully out of the barriers. The Baku city circuit measures roughly 6 kilometers and is made up of 20 corners and 2 DRS zones. The circuit winds around the narrow city, through the old town, and even brushes against the city's medieval walls. However, as beautiful as the setting is, this track is also a ferocious technical challenge, where the smallest of mistakes could lead to catastrophic consequence for any one of our drivers. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And Fernando Alonso completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Stroll, Sainz, Norris, Hamilton, Perez, Russell, Albon, Gasly, Bottas, Iwasa, Ricciardo, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, Sargent, Ocon, Joe, Hulkenberg, Teo Pourchaire, and Mr. Monaco. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
With some luck, we might just be able to work our way up the field, but we need a good start. Keep it clean, okay?
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, and looks like, yeah, simple one stop is going to be the strategy today. However, I'm going to try and go the alternate way with it and just see if we can take the hard tyres as far as possible. We're going to gamble it. I'm not convinced we're going to have a lot of pace here today. Always the AI are rapid over one lap at this circuit, but in the race trim, we usually can hang on a little bit more, and obviously safety cars, red flags are so common here. It is just trying to work out when that might be. So my plan is to take the hards as far as we can, and then go to either the mediums or the softs towards the end of the afternoon. But let's do this thing then. Here in Baku, we had a pretty good recovery last weekend. We're hoping for more of the same. It's 5 red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go then. Not up to a particularly good getaway, but again, one stage harder tyres than everybody else, and it is me inside F124. Down in that first corner though, we'll try and creep around the outside of Zhou Guanyu and Nico Hulkenberg, and we will just about make that happen there. Or Teo Pourchaire a little bit slow across my nose there, can't quite pick a lane that he wants to adopt out of turn 2. As it looks like Leclerc has held on to the lead of the Grand Prix at the start. Haas looking very, very racy in a straight line, as Hulkenberg now is going to try and send it to the inside of his teammate. I mean, everybody on lap 1 is of course going to be looking for opportunities to try and make moves happen, but sometimes it can require a little bit of guesswork to try and put yourself in the right situation there, as Hulkenberg can make the move on his teammate. So I will attempt it as well there, as we'll just pinch him over that next curbing. Luckily, no contacts made there, and we will make it through. So we've gained 2 spots then off the start. Looks like Oscar Piastri has joined me on the harder compounded tyre as well, so it might be worth trying to stick with him and seeing if we can carve our way through the order, you know, kind of working together. But yeah, like I said, this circuit, inside this game, it's all about just getting lucky with safety car or red flag timing. There we go, making our way out of the final corner. Charles Leclerc will still lead there ahead of Alonso and Max Verstappen. Looks like Perez has actually moved up then into about P6 here. So our teammate, yeah, has done a really, really good job early on.
We can use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
I mean, if you had to guess a circuit where you would expect to see Perez get some points on the board based on recent form, surely Baku would be that place. And well, he's been very, very unlucky in the first 2 Grand Prix he's done, or the last couple of Grand Prix, sorry, that he's done with the team. As well, a little bit of a late lunge down the inside of Hulkenberg. He spots us at the last moment.
Now that you're in the wake of the car ahead, try to get past as soon as possible.
I will admit, for lap 2, that one was quite risky. Well, I've just seen a little bit of carbon fibre on the circuit as well then. Don't know whether that was from our little dive bomb on Hulkenberg last lap, or whether someone further up the order has picked up some damage as well. Either way, I'm sure we'll find out pretty quickly, because I'm sure we're about to see a big train forming I don't believe it's Hulkenberg, because of course he's still all over my gearbox. Well, I think we've got our answer then. I reckon it might be George Russell in that second Mercedes that has just picked up some damage. So you can see on the mini-map as well, Alex Albon trying to have a look for a move on Lando Norris. Oh, I wanted to have a look down the inside of Oscar Piastri there. He kind of half left the door open, but then tried to slam it in my face. I'm quite surprised, though, to see the McLaren struggling as much as they are here. I thought this would be a circuit that might suit them just a little bit more. Because maybe it's actually Lando or Albon that front wing damage was picked up by. It was on the exit of this corner, so I can only assume someone slapped the wall. It's definitely been picked up by a marshal, though, so very, very peculiar. Yeah, I definitely believe that's Lando Norris then. That's picked up front wing damage. We're already starting to see everybody further behind Constantina and up. As once again, we seem to have really good traction at that corner against Oscar Piastri there. He's not really willing to hang that McLaren car off of the turn. The problem is there's no real place to go for a move here. We can try and force him to kind of go down the inside there and maybe line himself up a bit defensive. I'll try and do the same thing again through the final real corner of the lap. But Oscar Piastri holding firm right now, able to defend that position. Surely we'll be able to get a run though on him out of the final corner, as he's going to lose that DRS range to the Williams in front, as all of our top three trading fastest laps. But you can see how much that gap's opening up behind. So Oscar Piastri there, he wants to give me a big old squeeze. We were already down the inside though, sir, so I'd like some room, as that could have been an airplane crash.
The underbody's taken some damage. You might start to notice it soon.
I think, yeah, Oscar and I both not really wanted to give each other much more space than we had to, and that was reminiscent of Perez and Sainz here in real life. Luckily, we both lived to fight another day. What's happened to Oscar Piastri there? No straight line speed as we make our way down towards the final few corners, and that time round, we'll have to get the elbows out a bit more firmly. Up then into P18 of the Grand Prix. We haven't made up as many places as I would hope we would early on. But now, yeah, we've got a bunch more medium runners, as you can just start to see. Gaps up the front of the order starting to space out. And Lando Norris is starting to move backwards as well. What's Sargent doing? Oh, this won't end well. This won't end well. I'm going to back out. So Sargent there almost slaps the inside wall. I remembered I've attempted to do that once before with the AI inside F1 24. And if you try and hang side by side with them into that corner, they just hit the inside wall and take you both out of the Grand Prix. So we really don't want to do that early on in this race. I think kind of our best way of navigating the slower cars still is a bit of a divide and conquer strategy. Try and just slow one of them up a little bit by going for risky moves, putting our car in a bit of an awkward position. Not to make them back out of it immediately, but just to make them lose the DRS range to the next car in front as we make our way back at that final corner again. I mean, the Williams is one of the quickest cars inside this game, but surely DRS and slipstream versus none of the above. Sargent's going to be a bit of a sitting duck. We'll use a bit of battery as well. That was late on the brakes. A little bit of a front lock-up, but we get it stopped, and we're up into 17th. And I guess the other good thing about our divide and conquer strategy is that with Lando Norris holding everybody up in front, it does still mean we can close back in on the next car fairly easily, as Ricciardo, of course, Lando Norris's former teammate there, just in front of us now. Annoyingly, obviously, it is just spreading out the field in front of Lando, as every single time another car will just make the move on him back down towards turn 1. It's Ricciardo there thinking about trying to make a move on Esteban Ocon as well. I don't even notice that's Tsunoda, I think it is. Yeah, side by side with the McLaren man off of those first couple of corners. So we've got to try and put the power down on the exit as well. Will Ocon be able to have a bit of a look into this one as well? He's going to try and have a look down the inside of Lando. We're going to try and go around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo there as we just about get it stopped. Make sure we don't cream into the back of that McLaren as well. As there you go. There's the front wing damage. So my hunch was correct. We'll go around him as well. So 2 overtakes made up in 2 corners. Can we try and get around Esteban as well pretty soon? As Norris, both McLarens are on the hard compound tyre here. That is a bit of an odd call to put all their eggs in that basket. Well, STBST then, it is Renault Power versus Renault Power between these 2 cars. But hopefully we're going to get a run on him out of the final corner. Are we going to be able to try and do anything against the Alpine man? He's going to squeeze me up right against the wall. Esteban Ocon really doesn't care about trying to give other road users any space. As we'll go round his outside, though, back in towards turn 1 there. I mean, I've got to mention it. Valtteri Bottas having a day of days so far, almost battling in the points in that kick Sauber. It does happen occasionally still in this game. Sauber seem to be getting just a little bit better in some of the series we do. But he's still probably going to need a bit of a miracle. Well, maybe by mentioning Valtteri Bottas' name, we've kind of given him and that kick Sauber team another kiss of death inside F124, because now he seems to be under pressure from Sonoda and myself using plenty of battery. Back down towards turn this time. 227, 228 miles an hour there as we're all closing in on Iwasa. 3 wide, back down towards turn 1. Bottas decides he doesn't want any of that. We almost hit the outside wall as well on the exit of that first corner there. But can we try and get up with my former teammate? Just got around the outside of Yuki there with a little bit of contact. So we both just tried to squeeze each other. But yeah, up at 12th place we go then. I mean, we have almost got ourselves into the points. And of course, we should be quicker in the second half of the race. Oh, okay. So that does give us something a little bit extra to look forward to then. Yeah, Gasly, last car inside that top 10. Looks to be struggling at the moment as we got all of our front runners then diving into the pit lane. Verstappen, Leclerc and Alonso all follow each other in nose to tail. That's going to promote Carlos Sainz then to the lead of the Grand Prix as we've got plenty more as well joining them. Perez is going to be back up into P2 then of this race as Alex Albon into the pit lane. So Gasly opting to stay out one extra one. So Iwasa, it's not the first time he's done that this season. As soon as he's left the team there, he seems to be really, really aggressive with us. He's already lost a pit stop, though, to his teammate Max Verstappen. Well, Verstappen seems to have been royally screwed over with that pit stop coming out right behind Pierre Gasly. And seemingly unable to find a way around him there, so he's just watching Leclerc and Alonso sail off into the distance as his two main rivals today. And he might even find himself getting overcut by a couple of other cars a bit further back as well. There is Gasly. He's got to be running close to 2 seconds off the pace of anybody else right now. Annoyingly, this might also give Iwasa the DRS out of the final corner there, as surely Verstappen's going to be able to make the move. We're going to try and look for a run past Iwasa as well then, as... Oh, I forgot! I had completely forgot, of course, that Iwasa would be diving into the pit lane. So almost took both of us out of the Grand Prix with that one. As Bottas, no! Valtteri is out of the Grand Prix. Heartbreak for the Flying Finn. But I'll be honest, a safety car could have been quite ideal for us. This tyre wear warning light has just flashed up then as we get to half distance. That is actually just because we've been rubbing up against the walls and things like that around this venue, rather than an accurate depiction of what the tyre wear is really doing. I mean, at the moment, you can just see, I mean, look at that, the front left, after 16 laps, is up to just, after 13 laps is at 16% wear. So as long as I stop hitting the wall, we should be good. I mean, are we going to be in the fight for points? I'm not really sure. I'm tempted just to stay out here as long as we can. And as long as we don't lose the DRS to Verstappen, surely we're not going to lose much time to the other cars further back. I mean, I've just got to stop rubbing up against the walls around this venue at the moment, because that's the only reason our tyre wear is still going up as quickly as it is. But yeah, we're basically going for the Esteban Ocon strategy from last year here of pretty much do the entire race on one set of tyres, it would appear. Like I said, as soon as I lose the range to Verstappen, I'm just going to dive into the pit lane. But we could actually go soft compound tyres to the end of the afternoon. And maybe by clinging onto the Dutchman, we're actually overcutting some of those other runners. Well, Oscar Piastri then has just dived into the pit lane here. He was a few seconds behind me, but he's come out just behind that big gaggle of cars that I think is fighting for the final top 10 positions. So that's the group that I want to try and come out with there and hopefully have a really big advantage over in the dying stages of this race. See on the tyre wear warning light, it has gone bright red now, so I think, yeah, just rubbing up against that wall is certainly doing more damage than good. We're up to almost 80% wear now, but I think, again, you can just see we're able to hang on to Verstappen quite nicely through the second half of the lap there. Just nudge that curve and try to avoid the wall on the exit. And I mean, it's hopefully... It's one of the weirdest strategies I've ever done on this game, but I'm hoping it's working for us right now. Otherwise, we're not going to have much time to really try and make an impact towards the end of the race, as we will once again only just stay 9/10 back from the Dutchman. I'm not really interested in trying to challenge him or anything in towards turn 1 either. You see, we do gain quite a bit of speed right up towards the top end. But, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show once more how powerful, how ridiculously powerful the DRS is on this game. Leclerc couldn't make a move happen on Oscar Piastri all weekend, but I can keep up with a much quicker Red Bull. Well, I think sensibly, even though we're still in the range of Verstappen, we've probably taken these tyres about as far as you would ever want to inside this Grand Prix. I mean, if you keep it out of that wall, you could probably do the entire Grand Prix on one set, but we may as well utilise the advantage that the soft compound tyres will have for a few laps here right towards the end of the afternoon. And that's exactly what we're going to do then. 20 laps we've done on these tyres. We're going to bring it in, though, to the pit lane. I mean, if we get a red flag or a safety car now, I'm going to be so sad, because we definitely could have kept going for another couple of extra ones here. But into the pit lane we're going to go then. Absolutely chuck it on the entry. And luckily we will get the car slowed down into the pit box there. Could we end up quite close to our teammate Perez by the end of the day? Only time will tell here, but that overcut has hopefully been really, really powerful for us. As into our box. I mean, that front right must be made of jelly at this point, and that's really worked.
Faster than we were expecting. That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops. Let's go.
Well, I thought we might just be ahead of that gaggle of cars a bit further behind. I didn't think we'd jump Perez and Stroll in this Grand Prix. We're into 7th place then. We could challenge the Mercs for a top 5 here, and we could be on for another brilliant result from the back of the field. Well, I want to try and go for fastest lap towards the end of this. We may as well try and see if we can get the bonus point. And that's exactly what we've done. I mean, is that lap time's not far away from what we did in qualifying. It's a very, very odd weekend we've had in Baku. You know, I was hoping we'd be able to carve our way back through some of the slower traffic. But I was, like I said, I've got no idea. The slipstream, we must have been getting such an overcut on some of those slower cars. And if we can beat out Russell and Hamilton by the end of this one, I'm also going to be very, very happy. Again, though, got to be a bit careful about nudging the walls in certain places, but we can get a well-timed slipstream run on Russell. Maybe we could try and lower that fastest lap again. Right, come on then, let's try and get the hammer down at the final corner and see if we can just fly our way past George Russell. I mean, look at the gaining speed we've got over him. 220 miles an hour to make our way back down in towards turn 1.
Be aware, these tyres need to get us to the end of this race.
New fast lap of the day there as again we will really, really squeeze the AI in towards that first corner there. But up then into P6 of this race. I tell you what, Hamilton, his championship hopes very quickly seem to be evaporating at this stage of the season, as Leclerc looks set for at least a P2 finish. Hamilton and Mercedes just can't get anywhere near the big teams anymore. Well, I want to believe if we can get around Lewis Hamilton right now, which we should be able to, maybe we could go in hot pursuit of Carlos Sainz in the dying stages of this GP. Once again, utilising that battery, utilising the DRS. Hamilton, pick a lane, mate. I don't care. In fact, yeah, give me the racing line. I'm not going to moan. 8.1 seconds in 3 laps, though. We need 2.7 seconds a lap to Carlos Sainz. Not confident. Well, I tell you what, we're not going to take enough time out of Carlos Sainz, but a 38.9 new fastest lap with no DRS. I think, yeah, had we had 1 or 2 extra laps towards the end of this could have actually been a real concern for Ferrari. And from the back of the field, I mean, we're looking pretty safe. Again, another sort of top 6 finish. Well, as Leclerc and Alonso then start the final lap of this Grand Prix, has the Spaniard just waiting in the wings long enough, has lulled Leclerc into a false sense of security? And will the ever-experienced driver be able to try and make the move with the DRS on this final lap? For us, though, really, really happy with the way I've driven, but let's not forget as well, never has the second 212 Motorsports car scored a point inside Formula 1. With Perez running in P9 today, that looks like after 40 Grand Prix, that curse is finally going to be broken. There were plenty of questions raised about, you know, the fairness within the team, kind of the treatment of Iwasa inside this organisation. But I think, yeah, with him barely able to score in a Red Bull and Perez immediately looking to be on pace as well in that second car, surely now others are going to learn just how good we've been so far, how well we've been able to capitalise on opportunities inside this series. But as they make their way down then in towards the final few corners, will Alonso be able to get a run on Charles Leclerc? Has he saved up enough battery to try and pounce on this final lap? Or will it be our World Championship leader continuing to extend his gap at the top of the table there through the final corners? I think Leclerc's got enough ahead of Alonso as they make their way up towards the start-finish line. Charles Leclerc, he is going to be under pressure, but he's withstood it. He is finally going to claim victory here on the Azerbaijan streets, and a beautiful race done by the Monegasque driver there. Verstappen comes through for P3 ahead of Sainz, but from the back of the grid, once again, it is a brilliant recovery drive. It is P5 here in Baku.
The man from Monaco will win again. Charles Leclerc takes the checkered flag.
And it's always good to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Here we go then, looking in the final race results here. Top three, yeah, exactly as they started there, but mix-ups further down the order. Carlos Sainz a decent drive in the second Ferrari, but 22nd to 5th for us. We've gained like 30 places in the last couple of Grand Prix. It really has been a solid run of form there. Hamilton beats out Russell there with Stroll ahead of Perez, who finally gets some points on the board for the team as well there. Albon beats out both Japanese drivers in Tsunoda and Ayumu Iwasa there at McLaren. What a stinking weekend for them. Oscar Piastri P14, Lando Norris down in P20 there. Just Bottas who failed to see the checkered flag. But what does that do for the championship standings? Well, the gap at the top now up over 2 weekends worth for Charles Leclerc. 56 the buffer ahead of Hamilton. Sainz could even move up into P2 pretty soon. There is Alonso now 1 point behind George Russell. Perez still ahead of Oscar Piastri. And we've cut down that gap as well to just 16 points to the Australian there. Could we get ahead of him before the end of the year? Stroll gets some points on the board as well. Means it is still just both Sauber, Sargent and Pourchaire left to score this season. And Ferrari again extending their lead in the Constructors over Mercedes there. Red Bull a little bit of a buffer built over McLaren. Well, Aston Martin seemingly could be a bit of a threat to both of those teams by the end of the year. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourselves subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready in Singapore.